May 23rd, 2024, our very first 5-star supporter, Verina, was released along with Wuthering Waves. With 4 months of having only one supporter in the game, Shorekeeper was finally released on September 26, 2024. And I think everyone and their grandma can agree here that Shorekeeper is factually the best supporter in WuWa. Period. Not an opinion, but a fact. However, with the upcoming 2.6 patch of Wuthering Waves releasing August 26, it seems as if we're finally getting our third supporter after almost a year of waiting. Yes, a year. And it's going to be none other than Iuno, the Arrow 5-star Gauntlet unit. And no, I'm not gonna count Chakona as a supporter here, cause if you're not even an Arrow unit, then she won't even bat an eye in your direction, since she's of course an Arrow focused supporter. But anyways, without wasting any more time, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and this is Iuno, the next best supporter in Wuthering Waves. Now you may be wondering what sort of proof that I have that led me to believe Iuno is going to be a supporter. Well, you'll be relieved to hear that it was actually nothing. Yeah, this is all just a theory in my head that I made up at the end of the day. Now, an argument can be made in favor of Iuno being a DPS or sub-DPS, seeing as Kuro literally has a history of releasing 2 DPSs back-to-back, like Jian and Yinlin for 1.0, Changli and Jinshi for 1.1, Zhangliao and Zheje for 1.2, Camilla, Rochia, Carlotta, Cantarella, Lupa, the whole shebang, okay? Everyone's at the function. So I can totally understand why people would lean towards Iuno being a sub-DPS. However, looking at the dynamic between Augusta and Iuno, I wholeheartedly believe that Iuno is going to not only be a supporter, but is going to be Augusta's best in slot supporter. And I say this because characters in Wuthering Waves have their roles chosen based on their role in lore. Main DPS characters like Jian, Camilla, Carlotta, Zani, Changli, Zhangliao, and Cardathia all have been shown in lore to be more than capable of handling fights for themselves, even having important roles like Jian being a general or Carlotta literally being the head of the Montelli family. And while Zani is only a staff member of Alvarado Bank, we later figure out that in her character quest that she's also Batman part-time, so her being a main DPS is still in line with her role in the story. This also of course means that Sentinel resonators like Jinshi and Cardathia are also like the figurehead of the main DPS category, being absolutely cracked in lore and in game as well. And this means that sub-DPS characters like Yinlin, Rochia, Zheje, Phoebe, Brand, Chakona, Lupa, and Cantarella all play supportive roles in lore. However, just like the main DPS role, they too have been shown to be able to handle themselves in combat. And as for supporters like Verina, Shorekeeper, and Iuno, they have been nothing but supportive in lore. Of course, while they can handle themselves in combat, 9 times out of 10, they have been nothing but supportive to Rover through the means of other means of combat, yeah. And Iuno, while having a minor appearance in 2.4, she doesn't give off the energy of someone who primarily focuses on combat like Augusta. And while Augusta doesn't have any showings of combat, just look at her, okay? Just look at her. Not only that, but her title of being a well-known priestess in Septimon gives off the energy that she'll have more of a supportive role in the story, meaning that said supportive role will also reflect her gameplay as well. So now that I got that out of the way, as for what she'll be able to do in her kit is the most tricky part. Seeing as all supporters in game can heal, it's no-brainer that she'll be able to heal her teammates' HP as well. As for the rest of her kit, I honestly think providing shields would be quite beneficial as a supporter. And while having characters like Brant and Tauchi applying shields isn't anything new, Brant is a sub-DPS and Tauchi is, well, Tauchi being actually dog crap. And there isn't a true supporter in-game who can apply shields, so making this something she primarily applies in her kit would prove quite beneficial when it comes to trying to make her stand out as a new supporter. Now, I was thinking that she could primarily buff crit rate and crit damage, but if you can just take a look to your left, yeah, that's Shorekeeper. She literally already does that as her primary buffs in-game, so Nah. So I decided to go with Iuno being able to just buff something along the lines of attack when a teammate has her shields. Now, of course, Iuno most likely will have the resist fatal attack as one of her passives like Verina and Shorekeeper, but I think this is a perfect opportunity to actually change that crappy passive into something that can consistently help the teammates through the entire battle. One of her passives should honestly play into her shields. I was thinking that a crit damage bonus while shields are active would be pretty nice to have. Now, I would say something along the lines of resonant skill damage bonus or something like that, but I'd like Iuno to be a universal supporter that boosts overall damage. So maybe a base damage increase and a crit damage boost while shields are applied as a passive would be pretty nice. The second passive could most definitely benefit Iuno in some sort of way. Maybe an increase in whatever stat she scales off of would be pretty good for her kit. Now, since Iuno is potentially going to be our third real supporter in WuWa after a year, and I say supposedly or potentially because I could be wrong, but I'm never wrong, so let me cook. I think she's going to have some sort of unique buff or debuff she'll be able to apply in her kit. As to what those buff or debuff could specifically be, I don't really have a clue. But knowing Kuro Games, I have no doubt that they're going to absolutely cook with Iuno as a character. So, my current prediction for Iuno is a supporter who primarily focuses on shielding allies. This shield, once applied, will have buffs once an ally has the shield and will be able to apply some sort of unique buff or debuff in her kit. But anyways, that's going to be it from me. This video was a bit on the shorter end, but I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring and, just discuss what Iuno's role is going to be in the game. Of course, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. My Discord server is live right now, so make sure to check that out whenever you can. And I will see you all in the next Wuthering Waves video. And remember, it's just a theory. A WuWa theory. Signing off.
'Cause I've been so tired. I don't wanna fight, but you're a liar. I need your help, cause the situation's dire. I'm so sick of using people to get higher.